Mark Ray Mundy for MMAfighting.com here with Firas Zahabi, whose star pupil Rory MacDonald fights for the middleweight title at Bellator 206 on Saturday against Gegard Mousasi. For us, Rory's moving up in weight for this fight. What is the strategy, and you know a little bit about fighters moving up in weight and fighting for middleweight titles. What is the strategy heading into this fight, weight-wise and also style-wise?
When you're fighting a bigger opponent, you know, there's a few key things you want to keep in mind. There's some differences. I wouldn't want to share that right now before the fight. But Rory's well adapted to fighting a bigger man now. You know, in practice we brought in heavier individuals to work with, and he's adapted nicely.
Is it a matter of him trying to bulk up and gain more weight, or is it just kind of doing what he normally does?
No bulking up. You know, he's at his optimal weight, so he's gonna walk in there around 185, like he would on a welterweight fight. So there's no need to add extra mass that's just gonna slow him down.
Was there anything to be learned about when George St-Pierre went up in weight to 185, and there were some issues there? Was there anything to be learned with that to apply to Rory?
Yeah, for sure. You know, we've done this before, and we had a lot of success with it. So, yeah, lots of things. You know, just managing the dangers of heavier partners, heavier training partners, managing that, and certain techniques. You know, there's certain things you don't want to do in wrestling if the guy's bigger or stronger, and there's certain things in striking you don't want to be, certain places you don't want to be when the guy's bigger than you.
How do you feel like Rory matches up with Gegard? He's a guy, I mean, they're both guys who are good everywhere, but how do you see it kind of playing out when it gets into the cage?
I think it's an interesting matchup, you know. I think the striking style is going to be, I think Rory's going to start faster than Gegard. It's going to make for an interesting fight, and we're going to see who has more speed early on. You know, that's going to be a key factor. Whoever's got the speed advantage is going to have a serious advantage throughout the whole fight.
So Rory has this fight coming up on Saturday for the middleweight title. Then he's going to drop down at some point in the next few months and fight John Fitch in the first round of the Bellator welterweight Grand Prix. And he seems very excited about this. Like he actually, not many fighters book two fights at one time, and he seems like he's over the moon about this. How do you feel about it?
I love it. I like the match with John Fitch. I love that fight. I think it's a great fight. I want to do one fight at a time. Obviously, let's see what happens with Gegard. Hopefully, he walks away healthy and ready to fight again and to fight Fitch. That will be the ultimate scenario. But sometimes, you know, there's bumps and bruises. You know, you injure your hand or whatever. Who knows? So I really want to just focus on this fight. After this fight, reassess, and I would welcome the Fitch fight, definitely.
You've coached, obviously, some of the greats of all time in the sport. What makes Rory different? He seems like just a different guy on many levels.
He is. You know, he's a great athlete. He's got that speed. He's got that power in his hands. He's got that technique. But also, he's been doing it for a long time. He's a young man, but he's been fighting for a long time. So he has all those athletic abilities. He has all this technical know-how. Plus, he has the experience, the composure. You know, he knows how to adapt to in a fight. He knows how to change the game plan as we're going along, and that's just something you can't give to somebody. You know, that experience.
As a coach, when Rory says things like how excited he gets when he gets into these bloody wars, does that give you a little bit of pause?
I like to avoid the blood. You know, I like to avoid the blood and guts, but that's just something in him. You know, it's part of his personality, and I respect that. You know, I let him be who he is. And if the fight goes that way, we're going to go that way. But, you know, if it's up to me as a trainer, I like to my fighters to hit and not get hit. You know, that's always the optimal for me.
Can Rory establish himself as one of the best in the world in Bellator by doing what he's doing, taking super fights and these tournaments and that kind of thing?
Absolutely. You know, whoever wins this fight that night, he'll be the best. He'll be the pound-for-pound king.
Do you guys ever think about Rory MacDonald beat Tyron Woodley? Woodley's having this great run now at welterweight. Is Rory MacDonald the best welterweight in the world? Do you guys ever talk about this?
I think he is. You know, I would welcome a unification title. I would welcome it, definitely, against Tyrone. The winner walks away with both belts. I'm sure there's a lot of politics behind why we couldn't do that, but that's something I would definitely, I'd love to be a part of.
Okay, very last thing. Speaking of the UFC's welterweight division, George St-Pierre, your other star pupil, will we be seeing him back in the octagon anytime soon?
I believe so. You know, George now he's in better shape than I've ever seen him. To be honest with you, you know, I was just with him on Monday. I'm astonished at how much better he's getting, and the man is just not slowing down. And he's more fit than he was for the Bisping fight. He's gotten over his medical issues. You know, he's gotten over them. I think he's in better shape than he's ever been. I literally think that George St-Pierre of 2018 would beat George St-Pierre of 2013. I really believe it, and I think he can go now and become welterweight champion or middleweight champion again. I think he's really just the best there is. That's who George St-Pierre is.
Would it be 185, 170, 155, maybe a new 165 division? Where is George's next fight?
I think wherever they make him the juiciest offers, where he's going to go. You know, I think he could fight Khabib, he could fight McGregor, he could fight Tyrone, he could fight whoever's the biggest, juiciest, most, the biggest name he can get. I think George will step in eventually because I think he's got a lot of fight left in him. It's not something I need to ask him. I just see him on the mats. I see him in the practice room. He's got a lot of fight in him, and I think he loves to do this. You know, I think it's his number one passion. He could retire right now and never do anything for the rest of his life. Just do his hobbies, whatever. He loves to be in there, man. He just loves it. So I think it's who he is.
Is that inspiring to the other guys in the gym to see this guy who's been there and done everything in the sport and he's still going as hard as everybody else?
It's amazing, yes, it is. It's inspiring to me and everybody else. You know, we're watching him go, and you know what? At the end of the day, it's a love. We love doing it. We love being a part of it, and it's not a we have to anymore. And that's what makes it so amazing.
Thanks, Firas.